Big news, everyone. The Society of Massage Archives is officially a 501c3 nonprofit. Greetings. I am Kirby Clark Ellis, president of the Society of Massage Archives. This is a huge milestone, not just for us at SOMA, but for the entire massage therapy community. SOMA is dedicated to preserving and sharing the rich history of our profession, from rare documents and forgotten pioneers to the stories that have shaped this vital practice. We are making sure that our past is never lost. And now, as an official nonprofit, your support of the Society of Massage Archives means more than ever. Your donations are tax deductible, helping us to collect, digitize, and share the untold stories of massage therapy. Want to be a part of history? Here's how you can help. Become a founding supporter. Join our founders campaign and be recognized as one of the first 50 donors who made SOMA possible. Or become a recurring contributor when you pledge $20 or more to help us build and sustain this initiative for generations to come. Finally, you can help us out a great deal by spreading the word. Share this video and encourage others to preserve massage history. Your support ensures that future generations of therapists know where we came from and where we're going. Join the founders campaign today at societyofmassagearchives.org and make history with us. The past is in our hands. Let's preserve it, one story at a time. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of the Society of Massage Archives. These interviews and commentaries represent the recollections of both the hosts and the guests, and as such, are subject to the occasional slight inaccuracies. The content here is for informational and educational purposes only. You should conduct your own historical research when determining the veracity of any of the statements made within.
Greetings, and welcome to the Hands of History podcast, a production of the Society of Massage Archives, where we delve into the rich tapestry of massage therapy's past, explore its evolution, and share the stories that have shaped this vital practice. Today is Monday, September 8th, 2025. I am your host, Kirby Clark Ellis, and I'm joined today with Timothy Peckinpaugh. Timothy is a certified massage therapist and the current government relations chair for the AMTA California Chapter. Based in Palm Springs, his practice specializes in chronic pain management. In his role as the GR chair, Timothy focuses on engaging members, building coalitions with allied health professionals, and strengthening advocacy for the massage therapy profession. His primary initiative is advancing legislation to transition California from a voluntary certification system to a mandatory statewide license, bringing massage therapy in line with other healthcare professions and ensuring therapists receive the recognition and the respect they deserve. Welcome, Timothy.
Thank you, Kirby. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, I'm so excited to get in a little bit later, talk about all the exciting stuff that's currently happening in California. But for right now, let's start back at the beginning. Tell me, what pulled you into the world of massage therapy in the first place?
You know, I'm actually also an avid cyclist. So once a year, I do a cross-state bicycle ride where I ride a week-long ride my bicycle across an entire state. And I trained for centuries and that kind of thing. And it was actually cycling that got me into massage therapy because I would do a crazy long ride and I would get a massage afterwards and I would feel like I didn't just ride my bicycle 100 miles and I'd feel back to myself. And I thought, wow, if massage therapy can do this for me, like I want to be able to do that for other people. And so that's kind of what drew me to the practice in the first place, all through cycling.
For sure. Tell me then, what got you into cycling? What drew you there?
Ooh, into cycling. I was always just kind of fascinated by it. I'd like time out in nature and exploring while having fun sounded perfect to me. And so I just started riding my bike. And then from there, I met people who told me about things like centuries, like 100-mile rides. And then met people that told me about, after that, they met people that told me about a cross-state ride, which sounded like such a great goal to me. It sounded like such a great adventure to say that I rode my bicycle across an entire state. And so kind of caught the bug there and just never gave it up ever since. Kind of just found my passion that way.
Cool. Awesome. It doesn't sound like anything I would ever try to do. I'm kind of amazed that one massage would be able to make you feel like that you haven't gone a state across on a bicycle.
I mean, it had some pretty fantastic results. Definitely felt much closer to myself than had I not had the massage. It definitely helped bring me back to it. So that and a couple days of rest, but it did the trick.
Awesome. And then tell me, how far into like this cycling passion was it before you got introduced to massage therapy, and how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it was probably a good couple years, 2 years, 3 years into, when I started really seriously getting into cycling. And I think I was just talking to a friend and explained how, as much fun as it was, how the recovery process was always kind of a challenge. And they recommended getting a professional massage, which, funny story, I always thought that I didn't like massage therapy because I never had one. I only had when people would come up and grab my shoulders really hard, and I didn't like that. And so I thought, well, I don't like massage. But then, I had a professional massage, and I thought, wow, when somebody knows what they're doing, it's it's a completely different experience. And I was just amazed at like how much it helped me. And maybe I'm exaggerating just a bit. Maybe just one session didn't quite put me completely back to brand new, but certainly expedited the recovery process. And I was amazed at what it could do just in that one session for me. And then it was hooked ever since, and realized like this is what I want to do, what I want to be able to do for other people too.
Awesome, definitely. And so it sounds like you were using massage therapy more so for recovery. There wasn't any sort of injury or accident that happened that got you to massage.
Yeah, there was no, I mean, at that time, my first introduction, there were no injuries at that point, and it was just to recover from kind of putting my body through this really sort of extreme event, and did the trick. It did wonders. Now, in the many years since I've been kind of an avid cyclist and massage therapist, there have been a few accidents. The saying goes, it's not if you crash, it's when. So there have been a few incidents, and even with those incidents, massage has absolutely helped kind of advance my healing process.
Excellent. Awesome. So tell me the shift from being a consumer of massage therapy to actually going to an entry-level program.
Yeah, so I was, I'd always, ever since that, kind of my first introduction to massage therapy and what it could do for me, I'd always respected the field and realized, just how much it could give back. I was working an office job. I was miserable. And I knew it was time to change. It was time for something different. We won't go into all of those issues, but it was 2019, so pre-pandemic, and a few things happened that were kind of the last straw, and I knew I needed something different. And I thought massage therapy, like it's done so much for me. Like, how great would that be that I could give back to it? So I entered into introductory level program, and it was quite a year between working full time and going to massage school full time. There were days when it was solid back to back, starting at 6 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night, one thing after the other. Yeah, it was an interesting year, but got through it. And then on top of all that, the last part, the tail end of the program, is when the world shut down for the pandemic. So got to kind of finish up massage school during that time, which was an interesting experience. And then kind of when the world opened back up again in the end of 2020, 2021 is when kind of a nice little rebirth in my career for myself, as well as when I started getting into massage therapy as it became my full-time profession.
There are a couple pieces there that I want to pick apart a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Timothy, you don't have to go into details, but can I ask what sort of work your previous office job was?
It was in education. I was working with students that were kind of in danger of dropping out.
Gotcha. All right. For university or?
Not for university. Yeah.
Yeah. What a time to be going through school. It sounds like, I don't want to make assumptions. Perhaps this was an evening classes situation that you were attending?
It was I'm trying to think my schedule. It was Monday and Wednesday evenings. For both of those classes were 4 hours, and then it was Saturday all day, which was an 8-hour day. So yeah, Monday, Wednesday was work all day, go to school all night, and then Saturday was an 8 hours of school slash clinic and all the other things that we had to do. Sunday was the one day off I had a week.
And just for
recovery, interesting things. Combine like, how am I going to get my workout in? I would combine my commute with my bicycle ride because it was the only chance I had. Like, every minute of the day was completely scheduled out. So.
I was going to ask, was there much cycling going on through the program?
I found a way to make it work. I did. I would be up even Saturday mornings. I'd be on my bicycle before it was time to head out to school, or combine my commute with my bicycle ride, which was a nice way to kind of get both of them in. But it was kind of the only chance I would fit into my schedule.
Okay, and then I also wanted to just talk about kind of the tail end of your entry-level program, your school, being around the shutdown. I started teaching for the school that I attended February of 2020, and then everything shut down in March, right? So I only have the perspective from the other side, and I'm just wondering, I can't imagine having to go through massage therapy school at the end, and what kind of challenges and obstacles that threw for you.
Yeah, I mean, or as a brand new teacher, such as yourself, having to learn not only only this brand new position, but how to do it in the way that nobody knew how to before, when Zoom wasn't a thing or a thing that anybody really knew about. So it was interesting. It was, I feel like the instructors I had were fantastic, and they all stepped up and they found a way to make it work, and as best as they could. Obviously some classes lended themselves better to Zoom or online formats, like anatomy classes and business classes were much easier to format. The shiatsu class that we were taking, however many week long, I don't know, 8-week long shiatsu class we were taking, where we had to make our own pillow people, stuff pants and shirts with pillows, and work on them on the floor during Zoom. Like we just like the rest of the world did, we found a way to make it work. So I feel like we rolled with it. We did the best that we could, and I mean, my school was gracious enough to offer all the students who were in school during quarantine the opportunity to return at any point and retake any of the classes that we missed in person. But I think, all things considered, I don't feel like it really put us that far behind. I mean, obviously there are things we missed with hands-on, nothing beats the hands-on experience, but because we had that foundation before and we had the externships and clinic hours and all the required practice, we were able to roll with it. I know that there were a few days when we would go back on campus and we would work outside on people masked up under tents outside on the grass that we were all separated. And it was optional for everyone. If people wanted to just do the class at home on their pillow person, they were allowed to. So I would always go in just because I knew that nothing beat the actual hands-on experience. And then people, I know not everyone had the chance to be quarantined with other people. The people that we were quarantined with got a lot of practice, massage practice during that time, because we had to practice all the new things that we learned, and you're the only body available. So
lucky for them with all the stress. And
yeah. Couldn't. There's one little perk of it anyway. One silver lining.
Can you remember, Timothy, when did California start to open back up and release those quarantines? Can you recall?
Yeah, so there was actually kind of almost a soft opening and then like a re-shut down. I remember I graduated massage school in October of 2020 and actually had a job offer the day before I graduated, which was another reason I absolutely knew I was in the right profession, because massage therapy has given so much to me. So then I started working in October 2020. So I think things were just starting to open up, or maybe a month or two before they had started to open up. And then in December of 2020, they shut down everything again. So we stopped working for about a month. And then I think in January of 21, things kind of picked back up again and opened back up again for sure. So it was starting to open up right when I graduated. And I came out into the world like brand new, like a brand new start in the world.
Very nice. I don't want to get too far down into a rabbit hole because we will get a chance to talk about California's current legislative issues. But are there any mandates for what you learn in massage school in California?
California Massage Therapy Council, the CAMTC, does set standards for certifying schools. So the CAMTC does implement those mandates. I don't exactly know what those are.
All right. So most schools, or I'm assuming schools that are recognized by CAMTC, they're approved through the curriculum that they set.
Yeah, there are various factors the CAMTC will look at, including curriculum and minimum hours for every sort of topic, from anatomy to business to ethics.
I asked because you mentioned shiatsu, and my training included shiatsu, but I went to a program that was far above Arkansas's minimum requirements. So
Yep.
I was just curious if for example, if shiatsu was required by California.
That's a great question. I'm not sure that it's required. I mean, I know my school, there are two segments for the year. The first was Western massage, so things like sports and deep tissue and myofascial therapy and all that. And then the second was Eastern massage, so shiatsu and Thai. So we kind of got an introduction to it all. In both of those segments, there was kind of the sort of cornerstone massage. The first segment was Swedish and the second was shiatsu. I'm not sure if it's required or if that's just how my school did it, how National Holistic Institute did it, but I know that there are minimum requirements imposed by the CMTC.
Awesome. Just while we're kind of here in this space, did you have a preference as a student, and has that preference we always pit Western versus Eastern against each other, but did you have a preference of those, and has that changed since being licensed?
Such a great question. Yes and yes, absolutely. So My mindset while I was in massage school was focused solely on employment because I wanted to get out of the position that I was in. I graduated from college. I had my bachelor's degree and graduated in years before and did not find anything or have any assistance in job placement from my four-year university. And I was a little bit disillusioned. And then, so when I went to massage school, my focus was I'm doing this to escape. I'm doing it to get out of my current situation. I'm doing this for employment. Because I had that mindset, my idea was I only want to learn what's going to, not that I only want to learn, but I focused on only what's going to help me be employed. And in my head, that was Western massage. That was Swedish, what's going to help me get a job, what's going to help me get employment, especially because I was so disillusioned with my undergraduate education. Now that, I've been working in the field for a number of years, and I've experienced a lot of the benefits of things like acupuncture, of things like acupressure. Not that I didn't take my education seriously, but I wish I knew more about sort of the Eastern side of things. And I wish I kind of focused more in that area as well, or equally in that area as well. But I mean, live and learn. So I got what I needed to then, and now, never say never. Now it's time to expand myself now. But I didn't know what I was doing. If I went into this program thinking what is going to help me secure employment, in my head, I did the best I could at that time. Now now that I know a few more things, I wish or I would like to kind of go forward in the more Eastern realm too.
Definitely. Well, and I can certainly relate. It's probably at least once a day while I'm working with clients that I think, oh, if I'd have just applied myself more during my education, how much better I would be at this time. But I feel like that's probably pretty universal.
Always can learn it. Never too late to learn. So
let me ask you, with some parts of the hands-on experience of education missing towards the end, do you feel like that gave you a drive to really pursue more education post-graduation?
Yeah, as much of a sort of roadblock as we had, I still feel that I was able to get a lot of the hands-on stuff. And particularly, as I mentioned, I would go to campus whenever they had the opportunity to work outside. Or work on people, or even our externship hours had to be amended. But working on actual just friends or whoever we were kind of quarantined with, whoever was in that very tight inner circle, counted. So I still feel like I got a lot of hands-on practice. I did not feel underprepared, I guess I would say, or like I was missing out on the hands-on practice. Of course, at that point, it was kind of incumbent on us to do it. The teacher, the instructors, the school was still kind of figuring this brand new world out, just like everybody else was. And so it was kind of more reliant on us to make sure that we get all that practice that we need to, all that hands-on experience. But one secret I'll let you in on, as long as it's just between me and you, is I still feel, because I missed a lot of the Eastern hands-on techniques, which is a lot of the clothed massage. I, to this day, do not feel capable of doing a chair massage, because it's a professional quality chair massage, because it's a clothed massage. And I feel like if I would have had more hands-on experience with the sort of Eastern side of things, I would feel kind of more confident in it. So yeah, I think that's probably the only area that I avoid even to this day. But no, I feel like we were able to make it work.
Thank you for sharing and being vulnerable there. I find that interesting because, modern chair massage was birthed in California with David Palmer. That's a very interesting thing, because I associate chair massage heavily with the region. Very interesting.
Yeah, interesting. It's just outside my comfort zone a little bit, because I think you have your clothes on. How do I work this through clothing? It's just not something I'm used to. I guess I could figure my way around. But
could I ask you, Timothy, have you had professional chair massage before?
I have, yes. Yeah, like as I mentioned, any cycling event that has a chair massage set up, I'm first in line. Once I cross that finish line and get my electrolytes and all that, I'm standing in line for it.
Makes sense. Tell me again where you went to school. You mentioned it earlier, but I want to make sure I don't miss it.
Yeah, National Holistic Institute, NHI, which is the largest school in massage school in California. They have, don't quote me on this one, but I believe they have 8 campuses throughout the state.
Wow.
And I went to NHI in Ontario.
Cool. And then it sounds like multiple instructors. Is this like a kind of a traditional massage school, or is this more of like a community college kind of situation?
I would assume tradition. We had our primary mentor, and then there were the faculty would each teach different classes. So it would just kind of a different teacher would teach different classes, which was always great to get different perspectives, different, experiences, and what everyone else brings to the table.
And then just because I can't resist structure, was it kind of a revolving door kind of classes? Like you just jump in wherever you are, or did you have to wait and join with a cohort, so to speak?
Great question. We had our own cohort, so it was the same people that started. I mean, I don't recall waiting too long when I made the decision that it was time for a change, and I enrolled in school. I feel like they always have programs starting. It's not like they start once a year or something. And I think I waited like a month or something, which was good. I needed that month to mentally prepare and get ready for this exciting new year. And so it wasn't waiting. They had like an expedited program where it was, I think, I don't know the exact structure, but it was maybe closer to everyday classes, and they graduated in 9 months instead of a year or something like that.
Gotcha. How did your experience as a massage student compare to maybe your expectations that you had only as a consumer of massage?
Great question. Let me see. I'd always taken it very seriously. I'd always taken my training and my profession very, very seriously. And so I'm trying to think of what maybe changed, what kind of positions or ideas I had maybe changed, but I can't think of any huge changes, anything like that was groundbreaking to me. Because I always, as I mentioned, I always thought I didn't like massage till I had one. And so when I had a professional massage, that's when I realized that this was a highly trained profession. This isn't just something that anyone can do. I mean, anyone can learn, but like not something that anyone can just go and do. So none of that surprised me, how technical it was, how much I needed to learn, and how much that this was a brand new field for me that I didn't know anything about, that I was entering. So I can't think of anything like sort of big, because I guess I always held a reverence for the field.
That's awesome. Good. Well, and also probably the background in at least some sort of athleticism with the cycling also probably gave you an idea that you'd be, really technical anatomy skills, palpatory skills, stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah. I was ready for my anatomy classes. I was ready for it. Yeah.
What textbooks were central to your learning then?
We used, you're gonna stump me on this one, Trail Guide to the Body, which I still have a copy here in my office. I still refer back to it. And then and I actually got his trigger point book as well, because when I had trigger point therapy done on me by a chiropractor who studied under Janet Travell, it was life-changing. It was made me a true believer. It was a epiphany moment in my life.
Are there any other, outside of COVID being like the huge thing, I would imagine, are there any other quirks, memories, or surprises from your time as a student?
You know what? I will share this story about massage school and why I realized that I was definitely entering a field that was unlike the field that I'd been in, and it was probably unusual. But that was absolutely my right fit. I loved how much of a well-rounded education we received. For instance, one evening in class, it was the new moon. So the instructors had us all go outside and do Tai Chi. And then we came back in and we took this really intense anatomy course. So it was just such a well-rounded education. And I thought, wow, these aren't things you do in like most education training. And I kind of love that aspect of it. Some of the ideas I came from kind of a, should we say, skeptical mindset when I would go into massage, when I went into massage school. And I feel a little bit for my instructors thinking back on it, but a lot of the times when they would introduce a concept, it'd be like, okay, wait, where's the evidence for this? Wait, where's the evidence that this is working? I was definitely known as being skeptical, but so many things that instructors said during that time changed my perspective, made me stop and think and reevaluate my own kind of ideas. One comment an instructor made that's stuck in my head since, she said, everyone always says this is something is just a placebo. It's just a placebo. And I'm always like, so what? Like, who cares? Like, if it makes someone feel better, it makes them feel better. So, if I'm feeling stressed out and I, diffuse some lavender essential oil and it makes me feel better and it makes me feel calm, like, who cares whether it actually works or if it's just a placebo? I wanted to feel calm. It made me feel calm. So it worked. And I mean, before when I would go in, I'd always be like, wait, what's the evidence that this essential oil is doing this, is working? Or where's the evidence for, your crystals working or whatever? And then when she made that point, I was like, oh yeah, like that's something I can't get out of my head. Like that's true. Why, who cares? Like if the power of the mind, if it makes you feel better, then it makes you feel better.
Well, and what a blessing to get that lesson there kind of front loaded in your career, right? Because some therapists go through that and it takes them years to stumble across that kind of knowledge, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, every instructor I had at NHI was fantastic. So I feel like I took something away from each of them. So
Sure. Hey, Timothy, have you always been in California?
I have. I am a Southern California native.
All right, cool. And then just to kind of close out here about kind of your massage therapy journey, what other roles have you played outside of practitioner, educator, business owner, things like that?
Business owner. I started at a chain, which we'll focus on the positive. I'm very thankful they hired me right out of massage school. Actually, not even out of massage school. They hired me on a Tuesday. I graduated on Wednesday. So they hired me the day before I graduated. And I am very thankful for the hands-on experience because, that's essential. I always said it was like massage boot camp. You're just getting one after the other, and which, is absolutely essential. I got my fill. I learned what I needed to learn. I stayed there for 6 months on the dot, and then I knew it was time to venture out on my own. And so now I run my own practice. So yeah, business owner.
Wow, after just 6 months, that's pretty impressive.
6 months, and I started. So I mean, a little bit, kind of a few steps in between there. I guess I made that sound a little really simplified. So I left that and started working with my own clients, and then got a job at a private spa where I worked just 2 days a week. So I was kind of balancing both until I transitioned over just to my own clients. So
All right. And so, well, I guess that's been the majority of your time has been as a business owner.
yeah, vast majority of has just been running my own practice. Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you have other people that you employ or work with?
No, just a sole practice.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I do share a space with, I share my office space with an acupuncturist. So we constantly refer back and forth to each other. So there's that relationship, which is so helpful.
Nice. Excellent. Well, and I'm assuming that also kind of helps get you a little bit more background in the Eastern approaches.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when he does acupuncture on me, I am just amazed. I don't know what happens to me where I go, but it's always this incredible experience, and that kind of makes me realize that there's more for me to learn. That I didn't know everything going into going into my training, and that I absolutely want to progress as much as I can there.
At the time that you graduated, or even there shortly after, were there any local or national figures that you looked up to or tried to cross paths with, really learn from? Whether that's CE providers, school owners, maybe board leaders, stuff like that?
It wasn't until later on, not right after I graduated, because right after I graduated, I basically had my massage school, which is fantastic. That they helped me find career placement. They helped me figure out the ropes as I was going out on my own, and so those my instructors there and the student life leaders there, they were instrumental in helping me. It wasn't until later on when I started attending national conventions that I realized just how many more people there were that could guide me, that could influence me.
Let's go ahead and just open up the floor to working with organizations. How did you first hear about AMTA?
So with my massage school, NHI, we were automatically enrolled in AMTA and had I believe, a year-long membership once we graduated. And so I just stuck with AMTA. I knew I kind of wanted to make connections, so I would kind of take advantage of all of the different AMTA resources they had. I signed up for the find a mentor, have a mentor tool that AMTA offered. And then again, the world was kind of just opening up again, and they had their very first convention, their national convention, which I knew I wanted to go to. Still knew that I didn't, when I left massage school, that I didn't know everything there was to know, that it's a constant, learning process. And so I was very excited to go to the first convention in Cleveland, the first one that, they had since everything opened up again. And from there, that's when I really met people. I met the California board, got to know people there, and then things just progressed ever since.
At the time that you attended that first returning national convention in Ohio, were you a volunteer at the time with them, or just kind of really looking for that community aspect?
Yeah, it's the second one. I wasn't a volunteer yet. I just went just as an attendee, and then California, I know all the various chapters do something similar, but California does a meet and greet breakfast, or the first day of the convention, the morning before it opens, for California members, which is such a great way to kind of just meet people and get to know people and see who everybody is in the state. And then from there, everyone was very welcoming, and that's when I kind of realized there was more to it. Yeah, so just met people that first day, before the convention.
I guess I want to ask as a follow-up then, what did lead you to eventually becoming a volunteer, and like what kind of time frame was that for you?
Great, yeah. So then that was Cleveland. The next year, the convention was in Phoenix, and I actually won a scholarship through NHI to attend the Phoenix convention. Because I won that scholarship, I was introduced around to a lot more people on the California board. That's how I made the connections that I did. I started to attend board meetings just as a member, not as a volunteer. So I'm trying to think of the dates. So Cleveland was 2022, Phoenix was 23. Started to attend board meetings, and then in 24, I want to say around May, is when I became the government relations chair for the California chapter.
Gosh, what a time.
Right, what a time to become the GR chair for California. Yeah.
Since we're talking about national conventions, any particular stories or interesting events that happened to you at any of these national conventions? Anything that really sticks out to you?
Oh man, so many. I mean, they're just so. I'm trying to think of any like specific fun anecdote, but like just the convention itself. I mean, the massage therapy can kind of be a lonely job at times, because it's just you. A lot of times you don't have coworkers, and even if you do, you don't really see them for the vast majority of your day, and it's just so refreshing to go to national convention where you're surrounded by professionals who take the practice very, very seriously. It's just so uplifting. It's so energizing, especially if I'm feeling a little burnt out, a little run down when I go to them. I always feel just kind of inspired to come back and to get back at it. I can't think of any specific incidents. I mean, the keynote speakers are always fantastic there. I mean, I feel like all the classes I've taken there, I've taken something away from that I've taken back to my own practice. And really, it's just the energy of being there, being around therapists from across the country who are so passionate about their profession. Nothing beats that.
Things from national conventions was kind of like this. As much as I resist other opinions sometimes, I really love like the marketplace of ideas that's in a national convention. And I always loved, I feel like it's the most democratic part of convention for AMTA are the Assembly of Delegates meetings.
Yeah, they are. I just this last couple weeks ago in Dallas is when I kind of peeked in on the Assembly of Delegates. I was never there in time because it's always the day before or a couple days before. But this last one I peeked in on it. But it's such a great way to great exchange of ideas there. You're absolutely right.
I think they should have AOD meetings the entire week, but that's my bias. Let me ask you, because you've been in this profession for a relatively short amount of time, but you've really hit the ground running in terms of working with these organizations. And there aren't many people, 5 or 6 years into it that are attending their board meetings on a regular basis. What have you learned? What is the value of attending those board meetings?
So, I mean, I think I think that's absolutely right. I think most of the people on the boards are kind of veterans of considerably more experience than I do in the field. But for me, it's similar to convention. I would say it's very nice to have that network, to have colleagues, to have I'm not just going it on my own, even though I have my own practice and I kind of work on my own. It's nice to have that connection. It's nice to again be around people that not nice, maybe inspiring, maybe helpful to be around people that are very serious about the profession and that are working to implement changes in it that are necessary, particularly here in California. And it's kind of, for me, it's refreshing to be a part of that, to be, and rewarding, I would say, to be a part of that, to stand up for my profession that's given so much to me, to be able to give back to it if I can.
You just to go out on a limb, have you gotten into any teaching or any working with schools at all?
I haven't. No, I mean, never say never. I don't know what's down the road. I still feel like I'm figuring things out and I'm still learning. So, I don't know what's to come, but at this point, I still feel like I have so much to learn. I have so much that I'm, trying to get better at every day.
Well, very busy with GR stuff right now. And talk a little bit more about being a business owner. What did the massage therapy look like when you first got started as a business owner? And has that changed as your business model, I guess, or the way that you conduct business changed since then?
There are always things to learn in like when you're starting anything new, you do the best you can with maybe you don't know how to do everything, but then once you kind of are in it for a while, you learn what works, what doesn't. One kind of personal thing that I'm still fine tuning is when I was building my practice, I said I'm going to make my practice successful. So I'm going to, I'm going to do what I need to do to make my practice successful. So if that means I do a 9 p.m. treatment, then that's what I do. If I, start at 7 a.m., yes, say yes as much as I can. Now it's, now that I still defend a little bit, when you're building a business, you are going to have to put in the time. Now I feel it's time to, and I'm in the phase where I'm kind of fine tuning it, where I'm being more set in my schedule, where I'm having those sort of boundaries. Like, no, this is when I work. I don't take appointments this time, or nope, this day is my day off. I can't do a treatment that day or whatever. So, I think that's kind of the point that I'm at now. That's what's changed. It's just the next evolution, the next phase of it is, I did what I had to do to start my practice, to build my practice, and now it's time to kind of fine tune it to make sure I find that balance for myself and my practice, that work-life balance that's essential.
Yeah, and something that a lot of people are focusing on more and more these days that I think is really important, balancing that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, particularly therapists that work spa schedule when they have, again, that factory style schedule, one after the other all day long. I mean, it's no wonder that the average massage therapist's career lasts 5 years. How can that lead to anything but burnout? And not to mention, I don't like that kind of schedule because I don't want the quality of my work to suffer. And I've been working all day. It's every treatment I do is the best I can do, but sometimes that's all I got.
Gotcha. You find a lot more flexibility being able to control how many appointments that you see. And do you find, I assume since you've been in business for so long now, that you haven't had to sacrifice either the quality of your work or the quantity, like you're earning as much as you would like to?
I am, yeah, and I'm very thankful. I'm grateful for every single one of my clients, and I'm very thankful with my income, with my schedule, as well as, of course, it's things ebb and flow. Some weeks are busier than others. It's just kind of the natural order of things, especially here in the desert. Summers are slow time. But luckily, we still are pretty busy even during the summer. But everything's just as I want it to be. So I'm very, very fortunate and very grateful for that.
Did you find it challenging to build a clientele starting out?
I was very fortunate in that way. It took time. I just kind of relied on word of mouth to build my practice. So just started with a few clients, and then they just kind of organically grew that way.
As a practitioner, can you share maybe a memorable moment from your career so far? Anything funny, memorable, or just plain unforgettable that has grown or challenged you?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I want to make sure that I give like a really good example for that because it's such a good one. I mean, the most memorable would definitely be a client who chose to stop taking his prescription fentanyl because he was able to use massage therapy to assuage his pain and found that it was as effective. And I mean, nothing's more Nothing's more rewarding than that. All the stories of people telling me how they can get back to living their lives. Like I wasn't able to play pickleball till I saw you again, and now I'm back, or whatever it is that brings meaning to their life. There's nothing more rewarding than that.
That is a pretty powerful story that you share of the client that has been on fentanyl and was able to get off of it. Especially, that's a really timely thing as we're looking at alternatives to opioids and the struggles that we've had in that epidemic. I'm wondering, can you just talk a little bit without, sharing tons of information about this client and, not violating HIPAA, of course, confidentiality, but how long were you working with this client? What other alternatives were they seeking? If you're able to speak to that, it speaks to the legitimacy of massage therapy.
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that. This client is continues to be a regular of mine, and I've been working with him for years. As far as how long it took from when it came to my practice to when he chose to stop taking his pain medication, I want to say it was probably a good that he chose to. I also recommended that he consult a chiropractic care in addition to massage therapy, particularly right after our massage sessions. And it was a combination. I certainly hope I didn't sound like I was taking all the credit for it there, but it was certainly a combination of things that helped him. But massage therapy itself absolutely contributed to him being able to manage his system, his pain in a different way. We still a weekly session is still a ongoing treatments that are required, but it's considerably improved so that he doesn't have to take his prescription pain pills.
I think that's really one of our greatest selling points is the pain relief aspect and the hope that we can inspire in people who are struggling with these, because body pain is horrific. It's so frightening because it's so mysterious and unknown, and sometimes you feel like, will this ever stop? So the hope that we can provide that there are alternatives, that your body can do other things than just be in pain, I think is so powerful, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you said that beautifully. I mean, it's just if you have that pain, you can't live your life. If you don't have your health, you aren't able to do the things that bring you meaning. So
for sure.
The Society of Massage Archives wishes to congratulate Dr. Patricia Benjamin on the occasion of the 10th anniversary of her book, The Emergence of the Massage Therapy Profession in North America, A History in Archetypes. To honor this milestone, SOMA is launching the Adopt a Box campaign, a last chance to rescue and distribute the physical copies of this essential text before they disappear. You can help get a box of books into massage schools, libraries, practitioners, and educators' hands. And starting soon, join us for the SOMA Book Club, a monthly conversation where we'll read The Emergence and reflect on the stories, struggles, and triumphs that shaped our profession. Help us preserve massage history and carry it forward.
All right, let's shift gears. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we want to talk about, Timothy. Talk to me about what's going on in California. Let me kind of prime us, though. Tell me what you know about the history of the CAMTC.
this is what all my work on the board is kind of focused on. So in the dark days in California, not in the unfortunately not too distant past, there were some pretty horrific practices. Massage therapy was not regulated by the state. It was up to the individual counties in California to regulate massage therapy as they saw fit. Meaning some counties would do some pretty shameful things like relegate massage therapy to the same departments that oversaw adult entertainment. The worst examples, they would even require professionally trained therapists to undergo STD tests. Therapists would have to register in police stations, fingerprints, and our president often tells the story that he had to check whether he was a escort, erotic dancer, or massage therapist, and was required to give his stage name. All fields were mandatory. So some pretty horrific practices when it was just left to counties. And then because that wasn't acceptable, we had the birth of the California Massage Therapy Council, the CAMTC, which was a fantastic stepping stone. It went from having nothing, from having just these counties regulating massage therapy as they saw fit, which were often in some pretty unacceptable ways, to finally a semblance of a state organization. The CAMTC provides certification for massage therapists. So a way for massage therapists to get a certification. We were extremely appreciative of that step. It was a fantastic stepping stone. And we always saw it as a bridge to go from nothing to full licensure in California. And we think now it's time to cross that bridge. So the difference, and I can get a little bit more into the difference of what the CAMTC offers, which is certification. The difference between certification and licensure is that certification is voluntary. Licensure is mandatory, essentially meaning that the title is not protected. Anyone in California can claim to be a massage therapist, even if they have no training. Licensure would be a mandatory statewide process. Currently, not all counties require certification, some do. To get a business license, some don't, but certification remains a voluntary process, which again was a fantastic step to kind of move away from counties regulating massage therapy to having this kind of set standard with education requirements and hour requirements to get that certification. But again, we always saw it as a fantastic stepping stone, and it's just time to move on to that next step of full licensure for California.
For sure. Let me ask a couple questions there before we dive any deeper. CAMTC has been providing voluntary certification since 2008 or 2009, right? So pretty close to 2 decades at this point, yes?
Yes. Yeah. The Massage Therapy Act in California was passed in 2008.
Okay.
Which led to the birth of the CAMTC.
Gotcha. Have there been previous attempts to kind of take that next step, or is this really the first time that California large and wide has looked at taking the step towards mandatory licensing statewide?
That's a great question. There was a previous attempt to move to licensure for California. Ultimately, it was killed by one of our allies. So, again, we live and learn, and we will fix the mistakes of the past. The Chiropractic Association worked on killing the bill due to two ill-fated words: joint manipulation. They said that joint manipulation was outside the scope of practice of massage therapy. So we will definitely take into account, and I'm so sorry I don't have the exact year when that bill was killed. Make sure that we work closely with our allies, including Chiropractic Association, to make sure that there are no objectionable language or anything that they might oppose, to make sure that we can move forward with it.
It sounds like our very thankful for the work that CAMTC has done to this point. Is there any inciting incident that really sparked this recent push to take that next step in California?
So one was just kind of a natural progression of things, because every 4 years, the CAMTC and other nonprofit boards are up for a sunset review. And the CAMTC just had their sunset review. And so because of that, it was just kind of a natural time to reignite that push for licensure. As far as specific things that happened, we are very thankful for the CAMTC for the work that they did to advance us out of those dark days that I mentioned, to demand that respect for massage therapy and take it out of the realm of adult entertainment and put it more into healthcare, because that's exactly what it is. That being said, as thankful as we are, there are also a number of issues that have arisen with the CAMTC that constantly come across my desk from various members. One is the response time of the CAMTC. The CAMTC likes to operate in many gray areas. So they are a nonprofit organization when it suits them, but in other times they like to act as a quasi-governmental agency regulating the profession. It's voluntary, and yet they have real power to prevent therapists, trained, qualified therapists, from working. Unfortunately, so many applications from therapists are held in limbo, which, if there's a problem with their application, it should be denied, and they should be told what needs to be fixed or what needs to be changed, or what they need to do, or it should be approved. Some therapist stories that come across my desk have waited over 1.5 years with their applications pending review, stuck in this purgatory, not knowing if there's a problem that they need to fix or if it's ready to go. One therapist, despite holding a license in 2 states, applied for her certification and waited over 9 months for her certification, until somebody talked to a leader in the AMTA, talked to somebody on the CAMTC, and her application was approved that very day. So unfortunately, there are a lot of therapists that are waiting untimely amounts of time to get their certification, and there's no resources for them. They can't call. Calls are left unanswered, emails are left unresponded to. A state regulatory board would have oversight to make sure that everything is done in a timely manner, and that if an application needs to be denied, which some of course will, then that they're denied and they're told what they need to fix. Or if it's approved, that it's approved, but not stuck in this limbo state preventing people from employment.
I'm just curious, Timothy, as you outline some of those issues, do you have a similar story? Any issues getting your license?
Thankfully, no. Thankfully, the CMTC, when I applied out of school and our NHI helped with the application process, they were able to approve it immediately. And I'm very thankful that they were able to process my application in a timely manner. It's just unfortunate that not all therapists experience that same kind of timeliness.
I'm so interested because California is there's a handful of states that I kind of consider maverick states. We're a patchwork of all different rules and ways that our massage laws work. But in particular, New York, Texas, although they do have mandated licensure, they do some funky things down in Texas. And then California with the voluntary licensure. So I'm just curious, how does it differ really from a license? Let's say I'm just someone who isn't quite aware of it. And then can you also speak to how long does your voluntary certification last in California?
Great question. So, the primary difference between certifications has the CMTC's certification has many of the similar requirements as a license has. Certain hour requirements. The CMTC does not require a standardized test. There's no NCLEX required. Or in Texas, they have the state test as an alternative. So there's the license or the hours through a CMTC certified school that's required. And a lot of the schools, the CMTC claims they're called diploma mills, where they just kind of push through if they're not properly certified. So it requires certain hours at an appropriate school. So many similar requirements there as a license. The certification is renewed every other year through the CAMTC, and we pay a fee just like a license. Like we pay to a license board, we pay to the CAMTC.
Do you have any CE requirements for that renewal?
So thank you for bringing that up. So no standardized tests, and there's no CE requirements. CE requirements for AMTA, but not for certification.
Sure. Just because you bring it up, do you know the ratio of all voluntary certified in the state of California versus your membership in the AMTA California chapter?
That's a great question. I do not know, but I can tell you that the number of certifications is dropping. So meaning people are finding less value in it, and fewer people are renewing or certifying because they are able to work without they're able to work and use the title of massage therapist without that certification, despite whatever training they may or may not have. While other people are, in a very real sense, prevented from working if they don't have their certification.
Right.
Kind of varies county by county where we're at in the state.
Yeah, it sounds like such a rock and a hard place, really. Because even if what I'm thinking now is if I'm the entity or representing the CAMTC, it sounds like my big concern would be sustainability. If our certification numbers are dropping, how are we going to be able to sustain being an entity, right?
Again, and they like to operate in that sort of gray area where certification is voluntary on the one hand, but mandatory on other hands, and nonprofit and government agency, and that's why we're pushing for one statewide regulatory board, universal throughout the entire state of California, same requirements, and to practice in every county.
Right. Let me ask you then, we obviously have our own biases. I am also of the same mind that I think that would be a great next step for California to take. I'm wondering, have you found what is the appetite for this from just the regular practitioner you might pull off the street?
Fantastic question. Thank you for asking it. So our philosophy is that someone who's not qualified in the field of massage therapy shouldn't be allowed to use the title massage therapist. And in many places in California, you are legally, and actually in all of California, you are legally allowed to claim to be a massage therapist, even if you don't have that title. I'm not allowed to claim to be a chiropractor. I'm not a chiropractor. I'm not trained in chiropractic. And if I did present myself as a chiropractor to people that I worked on, I could face considerable repercussions for doing so. And we feel the same should hold true for massage therapy. I mean, will there still be people who misappropriate the title? Of course, but at least it should not be legal to do so. So that's kind of the philosophy that we're bringing to those that we serve. As far as the average therapist, most people, in all fairness, kind of maybe don't quite know the difference between the two. And I mean, it does get confusing a lot, especially a lot of therapists will hear, licensed massage therapist from a different state, and they'll think, well, yeah, I'm a licensed massage therapist. I did everything I was supposed to do. I went to massage school. I applied. I got my, my paper in the mail. Of course I'm licensed, or I have a business license to work in Palm Springs or wherever it is that they are. So yeah, I'm licensed. And they don't quite understand the intricacies of it, which, I mean, it does get pretty much in the weeds. I mean, I didn't understand it myself until I really started getting into it. I didn't know the difference. So I think a lot of people maybe aren't aware of the differences between the two. Then once we kind of let people know exactly what it is and what we're sort of working toward, the primary question I get, and rightfully and understandably so, is, what does this mean for me? What am I going to have to do? Which, I mean, I get, like, a lot of people, if they're just working, just doing their job, they don't want to say, well, now I have to go back to school now just so I can do my job. What am I going to have to do just so I can keep on working? Which I totally get. I mean, I know how busy my life is, and I know that everyone is just as busy as well. And if the last thing that they would want is like to be required to go fulfill some requirement just to keep on working that they didn't know they had to do, which I totally get. I totally understand. I feel that once we kind of get our message out about why we're supporting licensure, why we think that it should be a requirement to use our title, that we're not trying to make things more difficult for qualified therapists to do their job. We just want to make it so that people who don't have our qualifications can't use our job title. And once we kind of explain that, we're not trying to add extra steps in for them, that we are looking at generous legacy provisions to easily and smoothly transition someone from that's a certified massage therapist to a licensed massage therapist. Once we have that, those requirements in place, once we get that, a lot of people are much more on board and much more excited about it, and think that it's time for that change.
For sure. I want to ask you if you're finding any challenges to getting that education and that message across.
We've been hosting town hall meetings. I've been sending out, our government relations update, a newsletter, including the videos from when I testified in Sacramento, and then kind of explaining what it is that what we're doing and why we're doing it that way. I feel that, slowly but surely, we're kind of getting that message across. We're making ourselves available for members with various meet and greets, and all of the meet and greets that we have. I do my little plug during our break, let everyone know what we're working on. And I think the message is just kind of organically growing that way. Again, like, the questions that are rightfully coming up about, what it's going to mean for them, we respond to, we let them know, that we're working on, again, not making their lives hard, but just, protecting the title and doing what we can to make sure that massage therapy is given the recognition, the respect that it deserves. So I think our efforts are paying off. I think that the outreach that we're doing is showing benefit. I think people are sort of kind of starting to see what it is that we're working on and why we're doing it.
Well, and perhaps that's kind of like the saving grace of the situation, is that currently you're all pretty much kind of in the same boat, that you've all gone through the voluntary certification through the CAMTC. So it's not like some people are being punitized versus others, right? It's not like there's these two camps of people. You're all currently through the CAMTC, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. CMTC, or, some people don't have their certifications and they're still allowed to do so. But yeah, we're all in the same position. And then once we kind of explain what our philosophy is, why we think this is the next right move for California, yeah, a lot of people kind of get on board.
Because you brought up some of your testimony. I noticed in one of your videos that you spoke in Espanol. Are you bilingual, Timothy?
I am. Yeah, I wanted to do the outreach for members, even bilingual members. A lot of times, if English is a second language, they understand what we're doing just fine. Sometimes just hearing the message in your native language makes it much more comfortable, makes it something that you respond to better. Even if, for me, my native language is English. And so if I heard it in Spanish, I would know what's going on. But if I heard it in English, it would just be much more comfortable, much more understanding. So we wanted to make sure we were inclusive as many people as we can reach. I mean, it'd be great if we could do one for all the languages that our members speak. But what resources we have, we'll reach as many people as we can.
On a personal note, I'm jealous. How did you become bilingual?
Oh, no, great question. So, my half of my family is Mexican, but actually didn't grow up speaking Spanish in home. So a few members speak Spanish, so pick up things here and there. My immediate family, my mom, the Mexican side, doesn't speak any Spanish. I mean, she can probably count to 10, but something like that, but nothing more substantial. So I would get some practice with various family members. I started studying just when I was very young. I was 12 years old or something like that, and spent time in Spain. That really progressed it. And then it's just a lifelong learning process. I learned that there's no, before I would think there was like a finish line you cross. Like you learned your 20,000th word. Here's your certificate. You speak Spanish now. No, it's some days I feel like I got it and I'm on it, and some days I can hear it crumbling apart as it's coming out of my mouth. And like some days I feel like I'm totally fluent, and then some days I'm like, I do not understand one word you just said to me. So it's a lifelong learning thing, and like there is not a finish line. There will not be a finish line. It's just every day, just slowly progress and learn more and more. Just do everything I can to learn. I listen to various podcasts and things like that in Spanish. I talk to anyone I can in Spanish. I'm happy to translate, read as much as I can, that kind of thing, and just constantly try to get a little bit better every day.
I can't resist. Can I ask you about that background culturally, being Mexican, that side of your family? How has that shown up in your career, Timothy?
I mean, I feel like I work on a wide, diverse array of every single body under the sun. But as far as how I approach my heritage in my position here on the board and the work that I do, I think about providing opportunities, economic opportunities to all people, so that we can be kind of more fair to everybody. Think about kind of my family history, where I've come from. I think about, my grandmother lived in poverty her entire life, and she didn't have the economic opportunities that are available to me. And I think about how important it is to kind of make that fairness available for everybody. And I think one of the ways to do that is by working to make sure our profession is treated with the respect and the fairness that it deserves, to make this opportunity available for everyone trying to make their living, to give opportunities to people that maybe didn't have them in any other way. I recognize how grateful I am for, this profession that I love very much, that I am very passionate about. And I want to make sure that our profession is treated with the respect it deserves. I want to make sure that the practitioners are treated with the respect that they deserve. And I want to make sure that, massage therapists are treated as the well-trained professionals that we are, so that more people can have that fairness, that opportunities that maybe those that came before us didn't have. Like I said, thinking back to my own family history, thinking back to my grandmother, who didn't have those same opportunities as I did, and who, spent her life in poverty. I think that it's such important work to kind of make that available to everyone by providing more opportunities to them. I talked before about my experience. I mean, I have my bachelor's degree, and the University of California did not serve me well in job placement. They kind of let me down, I guess, in career preparedness. And so when I found this field, I know how much it's given to me, and I want to make sure that I can kind of give back to it, so that we can kind of create that fairness for everybody and give everybody that chance to get a leg up.
For sure. Timothy, are you a first generation U.S. citizen in your family?
No, I'm not actually. On my mom's side, they are, my family is Mexican, but they are actually indigenous to California. The saying goes that we didn't cross the border crossed us.
Exactly. Yeah. In what ways then do you think that these economic opportunities, how have you seen that grow through the generations in your family?
I mean, I think just even practically, I mean, I mentioned just my predecessors, my grandparents, that where they came from, the poverty that they lived with their entire life. And then I guess seeing like, my mom, like growing up in that situation and wanting something better. And then here I am, in this profession that I love, that's given so much to me. that I'm able to enjoy things that maybe even the past generation hasn't enjoyed because of the sacrifices that were made down the line.
Yeah, that's something that I think about often with our professional ancestors about, I mean, you already kind of touched on it a little bit. We standing on the shoulders of those that came before us and definitely recognizing and honoring the sacrifices. Is caretaking prominent in your family history? Are there other caretakers? Maybe not in massage therapy specifically, but is that in your background as well?
Yeah, Kirby, we come from a long line of caretakers, of people giving back, any way they can, of people caring for each other, not in an official capacity as a massage therapist, but I mean, even in the family, one generation caring for the one before that, giving back that way. And yeah, I mean, caretaking kind of runs in our blood.
And then I guess one of my follow-ups would also be, how do you see that growth in generational economic opportunities? How do you see that kind of fitting into the current issue in California pushing for mandated licensure?
So I think that by taking this profession and then making sure that we are treated with respect that it deserves, treated as a healthcare service, treated as not something that, I mean, I went into what some of the histories with and problems with regulating massage therapy in California, what departments that they would put massage therapy under, the adult entertainment departments, but taking it out of those shadows and recognizing it as a healthcare service makes it a viable career path for people who maybe haven't thought about it. Makes it an opportunity open that we want to open to more people, that they can choose to serve their communities in this way. So if we disassociate it with its past, connections to being regulated under adult entertainment, of requiring therapists to undergo STD tests, then it becomes a more viable and acceptable career path, something that people maybe haven't thought of before, that they just didn't even consider, but that now that they see this could be open to them, that, I mean, yeah, of course, you have to do your training, you have to go to school, and you have to, do all the necessary things, but it is a path that's available that we want to make sure people know about, that they know they can join. I mean, massage therapy is one of the fastest growing projected careers in the next decade. And we want to make sure people know that this is a viable career opportunity, that you can make a living, that you can do better than your past generations, that is available for you.
When we speak about growth of the profession that is massage therapy, the popular theory is, people get into a career when they see practitioners that look similar to them. Do you feel that holds water with maybe the next generation of massage therapists need to see more diverse practitioners?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if, we have a idea in our mind about what a massage therapist looks like and who they are, and well, that's not me, that's not meant for me, then yeah, that's going to exclude a lot of people, maybe not even consciously, maybe just kind of stuck in their heads that that's not meant for me, that's meant for other people, that's meant for somebody that looks a certain way, that looks differently than I do. But by making it open to a wide variety of people, it shows that this is a profession that's viable for anybody, for a lot of people, and everyone can bring something to the table to massage therapy.
Are there any Hispanic or Latino either role models that you had when you started your massage therapy journey, or that you found as sort of like mentors throughout your career as a massage therapist? And if not, are there specific Hispanic or Latino figures that you look up to outside of massage therapy?
Yeah, thank you for that. So when I entered massage school, none that I specifically looked to or thought of, but one of my most important mentors after I graduated, who often would talk me off of many ledges before, when I was still figuring things out and still a new therapist and didn't know how things work. He was Latino, and he absolutely connected. We connected, and he talked me off many ledges before. And it was kind of nice to see that someone could come before me and they've dealt with the things that I deal with, the things that he knew what was ahead for me, and it was just reassuring to have that voice, to have somebody that I could look to. Yeah, so I'm entering into massage school, entering into the field. There was nobody specifically that I could point to. So that, I mean, plus I'm biracial, so I can code switch into whatever area I need to code switch into. So like entering into the profession, nobody specifically was there that I looked to, but kind of personal mentors that I had were absolutely guided me on the way.
What do you feel about this current rise that we see at this point in American history of birthright citizenship being attacked, so much heat on immigration and stuff like that. Do you have like any pearls of wisdom that maybe someone out here in Arkansas could stand a little different perspective to hear from?
Oh man, what can I say that hasn't been said already or said better than I could possibly say it? No, I mean it's disheartening, it's saddening, it's infuriating at times to see everything that's happening, to see, American citizens having their rights taken away, to see so many people being demonized by what we're kind of seeing in the news, to live in that fear. I mean, there's no sort of magical thing I can say, except that what I can do is look for the people that are doing good, I guess, the people that are kind of fighting back, the people that are demanding that they are treated fair and recognized, and that I guess those that they work with, their colleagues, their friends, their neighbors, are treated fairly too. I mean, that's the only inspiration we can look to, I think, and what we have to do is to continue to do the good that we can do despite what may be going on. I mean, of course, it's disheartening to see so much chaos, so much of what American citizens are going through, so much of what the way people are being treated here today. But I guess the best thing we can do is just look for the good that's around us and try to be part of that good.
Let me ask you where I'm at specifically. I haven't seen firsthand a lot of ICE presence, but I see it reported in my community groups. I know that our Lieutenant General here in Arkansas just recognized my city as a sanctuary city. So our city has lost our discretionary funds from the state. And I'm just wondering if you have stories in your community in Palm Springs or California as a whole that you could share with us.
No direct stories, particularly here in Palm Springs. It's a pretty safe space in this particular city, and particularly in Southern California. But I mean, the fear is palpable. What people are, afraid of, people not wanting to leave their houses or go to their places of business because they don't know what's going to happen, is that fear is real. So even though no specific thing has happened, just the idea that it could happen, or people knowing that it could happen, it's something that people are dealing with on a daily basis. That, I mean, even though I haven't, witnessed anything specifically going on, I haven't witnessed a raid or anything like that. Just like knowing how much fear people have, and what it's kind of prohibiting them from doing, from going about living their lives, doing their day-to-day things. It's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, definitely. And when you think about the families, they're being torn apart and people being sent back to countries that they don't have ties to, and really just at the end of the day, when you take birthright citizenship off of table, it's just so unconstitutional to see something like that happen. Yeah, really, really valid and reasonable fears that people are living with right now.
Yeah, it's completely heartbreaking.
Because I always want to try and be aware of where my point of view ends. Is there anything that we haven't talked about in terms of economic opportunity or identity as biracial or Hispanic or Latino issues that we should hold the space for right now?
No, I guess I would just point to the vast majority of people that just want to do a little bit better than they have before, to just want that leg up, and this viable economic opportunity, I think, is this profession that's, as I said, that's given me so much. I want to be able to serve other people in it. I want to give back to that profession, and to kind of open that door up for more people so that they can experience that too. I've talked pretty candidly about where I've come from, and what I've seen my own family members kind of live their lives through, and the devastating toll that's taken. And I mean, just having this career path, this door that could open so many other opportunities for them, I think is vital. And if we can open that up, if we can make sure that our profession is treated with the respect that it deserves, and open it up as a career path to so many more people. I mean, I can only imagine how much that would serve, how much that would help other people, how much that would give people a better life that they're looking for.
And it sounds like this move from the stepping stone that is voluntary certification to statewide license can really help solidify the work that is being done by those that practice massage therapy in the great state of California.
So, I mean, I think it's just such an important way to demand that our field receives the validation as a healthcare service that it deserves, and to demand that its practitioners receive the respect that they deserve instead of treating massage as something to the side, something that doesn't need to be regulated, something that, it'd be unimaginable to say that if you want to be a chiropractor, you don't have to go through a mandatory licensing procedure. Like, you can just call yourself a chiropractor if you want to. That would be unimaginable. And the same should hold true for our field. And by elevating that field, it would give this opportunity to so many more people that could change their lives, really.
I think we're kind of called, especially if we do want to see ourselves respected and validated at the tables that other healthcare professions are at, we've got to start holding ourselves to a higher standard.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Has that identity as a biracial person ever showed up as a benefit in your life?
I mean, kind of in my massage therapy life, I hope every facet of who I am has been beneficial to my profession, so that it gives me the knowledge and empathy to serve others, to serve, like I said, every diverse type of person that comes across my table. And then also that gives me that empathy to serve my profession, to give back to my profession, to try to elevate the status of it in every way I can, because I know that it's not about me. It's about I'm here to serve others. I'm here to represent the massage therapists in my state and make things better for them.
I would say in the language, in terms of language, I mean, even in massage school, we had just a Spanish speaker, and I would do my best to translate. I would jump in, and this kind of goes back to your previous question too. I would jump in and try to translate for her, selfishly, because it was kind of practice for me too, because, I wasn't used to talking about joint movements in Spanish. So, it was a brand new thing for me to practice. So being able to communicate with more people that way. Yeah. And if there are somebody comes across my table and they feel more comfortable speaking in their, native tongue, then I can speak that way to them. I can communicate that way, make them feel at ease, would probably be the biggest way that my backgrounds shape my practice. And then maybe, serving every type of body under the sun that comes across my table. Yeah, every body is going to be different, and respecting it wherever it's at is kind of, I guess, what my background, my biracial background has brought me.
I'm so curious, Timothy, because you mentioned travel to Spain. Did that occur before or after becoming a massage therapist?
Oh, it's before, back when I was in my undergraduate education. So it was like 21 or something, when I was still a sponge and could soak it all in, soak all the words in and that kind of thing.
Cool. And then what about Mexico? Any travels to Mexico?
A few quick trips, nothing substantial. I mean, I spent a considerable amount of time in Madrid, but just nothing big.
I ask selfishly because I'm just so curious. We get this opportunity on the podcast to speak to a lot of people around the US. We've had some guests in Canada, but I really want to tap into that extra to our friends south of the border. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, be as inclusive as it can, especially like here in California and neighboring Southwest states. Yeah, get as many people involved in the cause as we can, and we represent all massage therapists in our state, so we do what we can to make, or all AMTA member massage therapists in our state, so we do what we can to make them all feel welcome.
Sure. Thank you for going down that route with me.
Of course.
I want to talk just really quickly a question about logistics. How far is Sacramento from Palm Springs?
I'm not sure, it's a considerable amount. It's a flight away. I know California is a big state, so it's you have to fly to get there. I mean, you could drive, of course. The Palm Springs airport is amazing if you can get a flight there. It's one time when I was flying out of Palm Springs, I was the only one in the TSA line. I had to still walk through the turn, the line thing, but I was the only one there. It's so easy to do, but unfortunately not a whole lot of flights go out there. And so I typically will go to Ontario, which is an international airport as well. And it's much bigger and it's much easier to fly, because I think sometimes I find flights to Sacramento out of Palm Springs that are like 8 hours of travel time with layovers in Las Vegas and Denver, or I can drive to Ontario and do like an hour direct flight. So we typically go that route. Well, multiple layovers mean delays, yeah.
All right.
Fly me halfway across the country to get back to Sacramento.
Not ideal. Yeah.
Right.
Tell me, what sort of allies are you finding in this recent push to get to the next step of mandatory licensing in California? I don't want to make assumptions, but I would assume that FSMTB, the federation, would be a stakeholder that's kind of got a dog in the fight?
So we're looking at the various groups, including the Federation. Yes, AVNP has the same goals, and then we're kind of focusing on three levels: the therapists themselves. So that's what our main push has been. Next is going to be the patients of therapists, to get them to share their stories, particularly those that have found pain relief through massage therapy. Have them stand up for what we believe, that massage therapy is healthcare. And then the next would be other professional allies like chiropractic, and make sure we don't make the same mistakes of the past, acupuncturists, physical therapists, and talk in ways of how massage therapy can exist in tandem with other treatment complementary to pain management.
Also, because you've mentioned it in some of your testimony, the aspect of human trafficking and sex work, and really that title protection. Can you speak to how those three interplay with each other?
Yeah, absolutely. So the CMTC, their big argument about why their voluntary certification system is better than a mandatory statewide license has to do with the work they do against human trafficking. And it's very important work. We're very thankful for the work they do against human trafficking. Of course, we oppose human trafficking. However, it's so important to reiterate that massage therapy is not human trafficking, and it's not prostitution. It's a healthcare service, and they don't have anything to do with each other, apart from the fact that traffickers are allowed to misappropriate our job title because there are no restrictions against doing so. Like, they're allowed to call themselves massage therapists if they want. They are essentially given this free and clear front that they can use for their illicit operation. So while we're thankful for the commendable work that the CMTC does to combat human trafficking, and we're absolutely sympathetic to that cause, we essentially don't see them as connected to what we do. And we don't see why massage therapists should have to sort of stand up against human trafficking, though of course we oppose it. Of course we want, human trafficking stopped. Just like chiropractors shouldn't have to stand up against, shouldn't have to make statements against human trafficking. Of course chiropractors oppose human traffickers, just like massage therapists oppose human traffickers. It's just that those don't have anything to do with our field except for the misappropriation and the exploitation of our professional title. The CAMTC argues that their certification system is superior because it's easier to remove a certification from a therapist or from a bad actor. The CAMTC can step in right away and take a certification away, whereas a license has to go through court to be taken away. Of course, that comes at the cost of due process. In a sense, it creates a system where you are guilty until proven innocent, where the onus is on you to prove yourself innocent, which isn't how our system works. While it's important work to combat human trafficking, I guess if I can give another example, like pharmacists don't have to make statements against drug dealers. That's not who they are. That's not what they do. So of course we oppose human trafficking. Of course we're grateful for work against human trafficking, but the two aren't connected to massage therapy.
Excellent. I really like that analogy of pharmacists and drug dealers, massage therapists and sex workers. I'm wondering now, just because when you answered that question, it rang some bells for me. I'm wondering, who is the CAMTC accountable to? Like, if your voluntary certification is revoked by them, what is your recourse? What is your plan of recourse? How can you, if you're not a bad actor, if they just take it away, let's say unjustly, what is your action of recourse in California?
No, the short answer to your question is they're not accountable to anyone. They are the judge, jury, and executioner. They can remove the certification, and then it's up to you to defend yourself by providing documents to the CAMTC to reinstate your certification. They, again, operate as a quasi-non-government nonprofit agency and a quasi-state agency. They do appear for their sunset review under the B&P committee, the Business and Professions Committee in Sacramento, which is a joint committee of the Senate, and we don't have a House, we have an Assembly, so the Senate and the Assembly. But as far as the petitioning against accusations, the onus is on you to prove yourself innocent, and you have to submit that, including, and you also are required to financially fund your defense to the CAMTC. There's not a separate board. that will take up the issue. You have to kind of appear before the CMTC.
Wow. I mean, like that's a huge sticking point to me. Do other therapists understand this in California?
Who have gone through the process understand it for sure. Though, again, I mean, most therapists don't really have much of an interaction, understandably so. As I said, most therapists are just doing their job. They're just out working. They don't really have much of an interaction with the CMTC apart from when it's time to renew their certification, when they were getting certification in the first place. Apart from that, there's not a whole lot of interaction the average therapist would have with the CMTC. It's kind of just when there are those problems. And of course, with a license, the process is to go through a court to actually remove the license, but then a person is given that chance to defend themselves in a court in a separate party against those that are making the accusations. Of course, the CMTC will argue that delays the process and that bad actors can, kind of victimize again. Unfortunately, there's a really terrible case. I believe it was in Nevada where a therapist assaulted someone on his table, and they went to remove the license, but because it took time to remove it, that therapist went on to assault 2 more victims, which is really awful. But I don't think the answer to that is to automatically remove someone's certification and require that person to defend themselves, again, putting that person in the guilty until proven innocent kind of category. And that's not how our system works. You have to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And especially if your livelihood is being taken away from you, we think that's the way to go.
Sure. Thanks for exploring that with us a little bit, Timothy. Because SOMA is committed to history, you speak in a way on the CAMTC with, it sounds like you have a good understanding of the history of the council. I'm wondering, where did you find resources for understanding this history? How did you come into this knowledge? And what do you think the importance of history is, in a broader sense?
I came into it trial and error. When I first got my position, I was doing all I could to keep my head above water and try to wrap my head around it. I had fantastic predecessors who held the GR position before me that I could rely on. So Bernadette Murray, who held the position before me, and she's actually on our board, or she's on the AMTA board, but she is our diplomat to the CMTC. So she attends their meetings on our behalf. She absolutely pointed me in the right direction. Many articles that I could read on the work that came before me, trying to wrap my head around everything and I read the Massage Therapy Act that was passed, trying to understand it, trying to piece it together to get this sort of history of how we got here, the resources that she left, how to kind of guide me to understand how we came about to the position that we're in today.
Are there people like that are really keeping this history of where California has been alive and accessible to people, either that will use it in a very practical way, or people who just want to understand how we got here in California?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the resources are actually on our site, on the California AMTA chapter's website. So great places to start. I think there's one article titled "How Did We Get Here?" which is a great little overview on the kind of everything I've touched on, learned from the wild, wild West history before, when counties did whatever they wanted to the birth of the CMTC and the passage of the Massage Therapy Act, to why we think it's why we thought that was great, and now it's just time for the next step forward.
For sure. Let's see, as we come into maybe some closing thoughts, let me ask you, where are you currently at this point as of September 8th, 2025?
Yeah, no, thank you. So another fun learning experience for myself is that politics is never simple. It's actually pretty complex. So as I mentioned, the CMTC had their sunset review, which, it's something standard. They go through every 4 years, and the legislature determines, if they're going to be extended for 4 more years, or, less than that if there's a problem. So in the complex world of politics, even though, I've made it pretty clear that our goal is to ultimately shut down the scene, where, thank the CMTC for getting us this far, but it's time to kind of wind you down and start a mandatory statewide license. That is our goal. Despite that being our goal, the AMTA, and during my testimony, we spoke in support of extending the CAMTC for 4 more years. The reason we did that is because we recognize practically you don't just start a licensing board overnight. It's not like one will pop up tomorrow and everything will be good. It's a transition period. And in the interim, we don't want our profession left with no oversight like it was before. So we want the CAMTC to continue while we start a licensing board. And so we supported extending the CAMTC. Now that we have supported it, and AB 1504, which is the bill that will extend it, will pass, and it will extend the CAMTC for 4 more years. Now our work is to start that licensing board. And while we supported that, we planted the seeds of why it's time, and all this testimony that we gave was why it's time to move to licensure. So yes, extend the CAMTC for now while we start a licensing board. And so we planted those seeds, and we will continue to do so. We have a Capital Advocacy Day coming up in just a couple of weeks on September 29th. And then we are shopping for an author for our licensing bill. And that will be the next step, is to move that bill forward to implement a licensing board and then transition over from CAMTC, wind CAMTC down, and start that licensing board. And then in the other unexpected turn of events, so while we, even though we want CAMTC to shut down, we supported in favor of extending it, the CAMTC, while it wants to exist in perpetuity, supported, or actually opposed, the bill that extended it. It opposed its own extension. And their chief complaint was that the bill capped the CEO's salary. The CEO of this nonprofit organization currently makes $750,000 a year. And the bill would cap that. The bill as it was written would have capped that at $250,000 a year, and they were unhappy with that. So they spoke against the bill. So it was a weird kind of twist, if you could follow all of that. So next up is to continue to push to licensure. And even though the bill will pass and extend the CAMTC for 4 more years, it doesn't mean that amendments can't pass to, if a licensing board is established, to sunset the CAMTC sooner than that.
Interesting. How often is your legislature meeting in California? Is this a 2-year cycle? Are you meeting every year? Do you know like what that looks like?
The legislature will meet yearly, and so I mean they're going to go on their recess, but then we'll continue to push to start that bill. So I mean we're hopeful that within the next year or two we'll have a bill introduced into either the Assembly or the Senate.
And in terms of trying to find an author for your legislation to get a licensing board, are you finding a good appetite? Have you had good conversations with some legislators so far?
Yeah, absolutely. And I continue to meet with legislators. I go to their town hall meetings and then try to take me, particularly if they're on the Business and Professions Committee and they're local enough to me that I can drive down there. I attend their town halls, and then I set up meetings with them, or we do virtual meetings with them. So we haven't found an author yet, but we are definitely generating interest. And I mean, one of the primary comments we get, particularly from lawmakers who are not on the Business and Professions Committee, is, wait, you guys aren't licensed? Because they don't know that massage therapy isn't licensed in the state. And so, once we kind of let them know that, once we kind of let them know that, then it definitely piques their interest. I think we're starting to get a lot of allies too. And one very conservative lawmaker, he opposes kind of any new regulation. But when we met with him, he actually supported it. And he said he didn't see this as new regulation. It was just a lateral move away from this entity to a different entity that would make it a statewide regulation instead of a piecemeal type of thing the CAMTC offers.
I hate to bring this up, but has there been any discussion or possibility of not having a standalone board? Because recently it's been pretty popular for some independent boards, standalone boards, I should say, for massage therapy to be moved under the Department of Health, Department of Labor, things like that. Do you foresee that? Would that be a deal breaker in California? Do you foresee?
It's a great question. And my team and I have not discussed that possibility. I mean, we'd have to look more into it. And if they would be able to provide a mandatory statewide license, same requirements for all people using for all those who want to use the title throughout the entire state, that's required, not voluntary, then I mean, as long as there's no other kind of issues, I can't see why we wouldn't get on board with that. Of course, there may be issues that I'm not aware of that would prevent us from supporting that.
Awesome. I guess I'll ask, since we're here anyway, you said that there is a upcoming legislative advocacy day coming up September 29th, you said?
Yes.
How could people in California that are interested in helping out with that get involved?
Yeah, thank you so much for doing that. So we have our Capital Advocacy Day. We'll be doing chair massage for the legislators and their staff. Everyone who wants their massage has to kind of sign up through me, through our tent there, and then they get the spiel about what we're working on and why we're advocating for licensure, and just kind of letting them know that we actually don't have licensures. And then we have a few other things about the benefits of massage therapy, going back to our discussion about pain management and how massage therapy can support chronic pain. It's more cost effective and that kind of thing. So they sign up through me first. They get that discussion, and then they get their 10-minute chair massage session. After that, the volunteers will be going to have meetings with various offices, with various legislators, so they can kind of see how the process works. They can be part of it. My primary goal during my tenure is member engagement. It's not me. It's not just me doing this. It's for all of us. So I want as many members to be involved, to be doing this too. I serve the members. I represent them. So we want them, kind of working on this together with us. It's not me doing it on my own. Then we'll have box lunches after that, and then we'll have a member meet and greet social where we all just get to kind of hang out, which is such a nice thing to do. As I mentioned multiple times, it can be a kind of solo career, so it's so nice to be around people that are in the same profession as you, to know that you're not alone. You're not in this by yourself. You have resources, and it's pretty exciting too, because we're working with a local school, my school, NHI, their local campus, to get student volunteers. The students are getting externship hours for working the event, and of course, hands-on time is paramount and fantastic, but also just showing them that there is a professional network for you once you're done. Once you leave massage school, there's this network available for you. It'll be really great experience. So if you're a California AMTA member, check your email for me. I did a few videos about it, and then we sent out emails from me, and then Michael Roberson, our president, sent out emails as well regarding the event. It has the link to register. And I hope to see you in Sacramento. We'll take all the help we can get.
Awesome. Outside of that, is there anything listeners that are outside of California might be able to do or help out or just support?
Well, first of all, if you know anyone in California, thank you for listening to all your listeners. Thank you for listening to kind of what we're working on, what we're working towards here in our state. So if you can just kind of spread the word, that's probably the primary thing to do, particularly if you know of therapists in California. And again, people may not know the intricacies of it. I sure didn't before I looked into it and read about it myself. So, if you can kind of let them know what it is. California is one of 5 states that does not have a license. So, and I really, truly believe that once California goes, then a few of the other states will follow suit, will follow the lead. So just kind of continuing to spread the word about what it is we're working on and why we think it's important. And we'll get massage therapy the recognition as a healthcare service that it deserves.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, and I also, just to push you, I hope that you are certainly doing something to record and preserve all of this, because you're living through history right now, Timothy, and I hope that isn't lost on you. It doesn't sound like it is, but just in case.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Every once in a while, I just stop to think that, wow, how fortunate am I that I get to, work on something that I believe in. It's never would have thought. I'm just eternally grateful for it.
Awesome. Tell me, what are you most proud of when you look back in your time in massage therapy?
The service I could give to others. Just the I won't go into all the comments, but just comments from people about how much massage therapy has benefited them because they've been on my table, and how much I've been able to help them get back to doing the things that they love to do.
Awesome. If you could record one historical figure's account of massage therapy, someone who is perhaps no longer with us, who would you choose, and maybe just a little bit about why?
Okay, so I'll go back to my answer about the life-changing trigger point therapy that I had. I'll go with Janet Travell. I had excruciating low back pain, hobbled in, could barely walk, hobbled into this chiropractor who was highly recommended and who actually studied under Janet Travell. He, of course, now that I've been in massage school, I know exactly what he was doing, but he poked me one spot on my psoas on the front of my hip. He said the only pressure he used was to put a little pink in his fingernail, so hardly any at all. held it for like a minute. After a minute, it felt like the deepest tissue I've ever had in my life, even though he hadn't changed his pressure at all. And like I almost jumped off the table. And the muscle released, and he did one quick adjustment, sent me on my way. I walked out healed. Like, you were able to heal me by pressing one spot on. Like I was like amazed. It just was kind of an epiphany there. It was it's like, wow, this is something I need to learn how to do. So I would love to hear kind of her take on the profession, where it's at, what we need to do to align it more with other healthcare fields, and the good that it can do for people, like I experienced myself.
Awesome. All right. And then kind of the other side of that coin, who would you like to hear on this podcast next? Is there anyone you'd love to see interviewed or think has an important story to share here?
Ooh, that's another great question. Let me see. I would say, I mentioned her before, but I'll go with Bernadette Murray. She is our ambassador to the CAMTC from AMTA. She served as the GR chair for California as well. She has her license in Texas. So she's she was active during the history of the Massage Therapy Act in California, the birth of the CMTC, and has a firsthand account of it all.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, and I can't believe she's holding a license in 2 of the Maverick states. My goodness.
Texas and California. Yep, that's right. So Texas has a license. It's the 5 states that don't. It's just a grab bag. There's no rhyme or reason. Geographically, politically, they're all over the map.
Right. Okay. Before we go, how could people who maybe want to get engaged, learn a little bit more about you or your work, what's the best way to get in contact with you or, again, support what you're currently doing?
Yeah, and like I said, all the help we can get from AMTA members from the state and throughout the country, I will gladly take. Any advice for anyone who's been here before, who's had my role or has ideas for me. I mean, I just represent our members. That's what I do. So I am happy to learn as much as I can from you, or your stories. If you are a California therapist and have had an issue or any kind of problems dealing with your certification, I'm collecting kind of an archive of your stories to share in my meetings with legislators. So the best way is to email me. You can find my email on the my link on the California AMTA website. And it's kind of hard if I just give it to you, but it's gr@amta-ca.org.
Awesome. Perfect. And then last thing, is there anything we didn't cover that you'd like to add? The mic is all yours, Timothy.
Thank you. No, Kirby, thank you so much for this. This was such a great conversation, and thank you for your really insightful questions and helping me along. No, I appreciate the time. I appreciate being able to share what we're working on and why we think it's the right thing to do, the right step for our state, the right step for our profession, why we think it's time to recognize massage therapy as a healthcare service that it is, and to work to make sure that its practitioners are treated as the trained professionals that we are. I appreciate all of your great questions. So thank you for having me.
Well, of course, it's important work that you're doing in California. I hope that with at least a modicum of the time that you're committed to that, I hope all of you are taking good care of yourselves as well, because it can be so easy to burn out on these things. So I hope and I wish you all a lot of good luck, and let us know however we can be supportive moving forward for you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Timothy, for joining us here on the Hands of History podcast.
Kirby, thank you so much for your thoughtful questions and facilitating this great discussion.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider donating to the Society of Massage Archives so we can continue to bring you this episode and other resources to fulfill our mission of preserving and integrating the historical knowledge of massage therapy's professional advocacy and traditional techniques to guide and enrich our contemporary practices. Thank you. You have been listening to the Hands of History podcast, a production of the Society of Massage Archives. You can learn more about the Society at societyofmassagearchives.org. We are also on Facebook and Instagram. Do you know someone whose hands have helped shape the practice of massage? If you or someone you know would make a great guest for future episodes of this podcast, please email the Society at societyofmassagearchives@gmail.com. Society of Massage Archives, all one word, @gmail.com.